Hello and welcome to Home Media Minefield Presents Let's See What's Out There Live, an entertainment live stream and podcast focused on film and television. In today's episode, we are going to have a spoiler-free look at the films in the recent Frightfest Glasgow 2022 lineup, which happened this past weekend. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you like this sort of thing, please consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon for notifications, and check out some of our other work. My name's Keith Isles. I am an independent filmmaker and a lifelong enthusiast of cinema and television. I love movies. I love watching them. I love reading about them. I love making them. I love acting in them when I can. And I obviously love talking about them. So I'm delighted to be joined by a couple of Frightfesters from this year. First up, we have got film producer Natasha Marberger. Hey, Natasha.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. How are you? I know you said you were a bit under the weather. Are you feeling better?
Yeah, it's just been a really busy few weeks because I also run the London Independent Film Festival, and the tickets for that had to go online last week on the Genesis Cinema website because that's 1st to the 10th of April. So that's what I've been working on. And along with the lineup of films, we have 63 short films and 6 features. We also have a whole load of free industry events as well. So yeah, it's been a bit manic.
Fabulous. Well, I mean, we will talk about that definitely before the end of the of tonight's episode. And also, I have already put links in the show notes to your work and to that specific event. So again, if anybody out there's watching and wants to find out more information from that, just check it out down below. And as I said, we'll have a chat about that a bit later because it sounds fascinating. But I'm also joined by somebody who stayed in Glasgow. When you and I came back, Natasha, this guy stayed there because he's based there. So I am joined by artist William McLaughlin. How you doing, William?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey.
You well?
Yeah. I'm surviving staying in Glasgow. Frightfest was it feels like already it was ages ago, even though it's just finished. But it was amazing getting back into the cinema and sort of seeing such a variety of different films.
Absolutely. You know, that's what the great thing about Frightfest is the variety that it offers. And obviously, you guys have both guested on this show before, which has been great. And you're not first-time Frightfesters, either of you, are you? You've had some history with Frightfest over the past few years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never been to the Glasgow event, so it was the first time for me for that. But it was just amazing to see so many people. It was packed out. I think there were quite a number of sold-out screenings as well. So it was really. I think people are just so ready for events like this, films and socializing, networking, meeting each other. It was great to see such a brilliant turnout.
Yeah,
and I'm in the opposite position from you, Natasha. I've never been to the London Frightfest, so I've done Glasgow 3 times, and I think maybe this year I'm going to go and see the London one as well because Keith tells me it's twice as long. So.
Yeah, you should come down and people watching should come along as well. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been a really busy time for films at the moment. You know, what with BAFTA and what with the stuff being dropped on streaming services like on a daily basis now, and obviously some big films at the cinema. You know, it was really nice to get and see some horror and thriller from around the world. I mean, the great thing with Frightfest is, you know, they show films from all around the globe. They show very low budget films as well as films made and backed by studios. So you've got a lot of variety there. We did see 12 films over the over the 3-day period in Glasgow. And there was quite a variety there. What we're going to do today, we're not going to spoil anything on any of these films because many of them haven't actually been released yet. For some of these, they were premieres. Others are going to be available on various streaming services, home media. Some have cinema releases coming up, and some are so new that they didn't even have a film poster. So, we're going to have a good look through it. For anyone who doesn't know what Frightfest is, by the way, you probably do if you're watching this, but if you don't, Frightfest has been going for over 20 years now, and it's run by these 4 individuals, Ian, Paul, Alan, and Greg, who they've got a massive team behind them as well. But these guys set this up, and it really is, they call it the dark heart of cinema. It's all about discovering films within the horror thriller genre and the many subgenres that has. And as I said, they look for talent globally, so it's a very international thing. For more information on that, you can find it on their website, which is frightfest.co.uk. But I thought I'd better give them a plug at least. But I know some of my London buddies that are Frightfest regulars, they didn't get to go to Glasgow this year. So I have had a few ask me about, would we do a bit of quick coverage on it? So I think the way to do it, guys, just hop in anytime you've got something to say. I know I talk a lot. I don't want to dominate this. I want to hear your opinions. What I've got to sort of jog our memories is I've got some slides set up for the films, which just have the poster and some of the main credits. And we can just sort of take them one at a time. I'll bring us in as well so we don't feel left out. There you go. Does anyone want to kick off with this one, Night's End, which was actually the opening film, which was shown on Thursday, the 10th of March at 9 p.m. Were we all there for that one?
No, I haven't seen this one.
Okay, do you want me to kick off then, since we went and saw that one, Keith?
Go on then, William. Go for it.
So I think this film, what was really interesting about it was it managed to strike a really good balance in tone between being funny and being frightening. And obviously you can go to extreme lengths on either end of the spectrum, and we saw films at Frightfest that did both, Let the Wrong One In being like really funny, really crazy, or Some Like It Rare. And then some of the other ones like Mandrake were much more serious and sort of down to earth. This film had a really, really good vibe. And it's basically about a guy who's an agoraphobe, and he's spending a lot of time doing sort of Zoom meetings and YouTube videos and stuff. And I don't want to kind of, I know we're going to do spoilers and stuff, but I don't know if I want to give it all away. But basically,
no spoilers. Just give people a feel for these films so that they can see if it's their bag and go and discover. So say what you like about it, but without spoilers.
Okay, so obviously as a horror film, his YouTubes and Zoom meetings and stuff just become kind of not as happy, if that's the right term, as in sort of reality. And the whole film, he starts to unwind and so on, and just really good performances and a really nice vibe, quite kind of like disturbing, especially after pandemic and lockdown and stuff, meaning that lots of people have been in these sorts of positions where they've either been self-isolating or they've been having to work from home and stuff like that. So it was very much a sort of film of the times.
Yeah, no, I agree very much. Kind of nice that it dealt with mental health as well, but it had some really great horror elements in there, some haunted house elements, directed by Jennifer Reeder, and in the cast, Gino Walker, Kate Arrington, and Michael Shannon makes an appearance in this film as well. And I like the fact that the main character had agoraphobia and whatever. There is actually another film on Amazon at the moment, directed by Steven Soderbergh, called Kimmy, which stars Zoe Kravitz, and it's got a similar kind of vibe. It's a film that's sort of set in the pandemic. But I agree. This one, nice production values, good performances, and if that, it was definitely creepy. in places, and yeah, I would say well worth your time if that's your bag. So I'm not sure about the release information for this one, but obviously, if you're watching this, you can look it up on IMDb and add it to your list or whatever, and get notified as and when it becomes available. So, all right. Well, shall we move into Friday? Sorry, which was the, if you like, the real start of the festival, and we started with a more humorous one to start with, Let the Wrong One In, which was, I have to say, Frightfest Glasgow, by the way, guys, it was very much, it felt like Frightfest Ireland this year, because there was a huge amount of Irish funded films in this lineup, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that obviously there's good incentives from whatever the body are called, Screen Ireland, at the moment, and a lot of the filmmakers at Frightfest were directing their debut film. So not only was it interesting that they were from Ireland, but it's interesting that so many people are choosing to work in the horror genre for their first film. I think that's a really kind of interesting thing to be thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a good breakout genre, hasn't it, for up and coming filmmakers. Did you see this one, Natasha?
Yeah, I love this one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
what was really interesting was so many people, so many of the guests were Irish as well. So you really got to meet everyone and talk about the films or about other things. And it did sometimes feel like we were in Ireland.
Absolutely. And what did you think of this one in terms of? I know we're not going to spoil anything, but you know, did it work for you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was such good fun, and there was lots of. It was action packed, full of things going on, and I thought it was a great opening film, actually, this one, because it was such a positive film as well, really kind of upbeat. The music was great, the sound design as well. So yeah, if you're into vampire comedy, horror, I think this is for you.
Yeah,
I also liked the two things that I thought were particularly good about this film was that it was extremely violent and gory, but almost farcically so, and they were aware of doing that, which was really funny. And also their special effects, they really lent into the kind of fact that it's an indie film, and the effects themselves were funny, but it never felt like it was unintentionally humorous, which I think is a great, thing, a great skill to be able to have delivered on. Because obviously, the more funny you can make your horror comedy, the better, I think. And this was people really enjoyed this film.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a crowd pleaser. A great one to sort of open the Friday with. It really lent into the sort of humorous stereotypes for the characters, which I thought really made it work as well. Directed by Conor McMahon. Stars Carl Rice, Ian Duffy, and Anthony Head has a role in this as well. So, but yeah, a good fun comedy vampire flick to start with. So yeah, very good. Okay, next up, A Cloud So High. Now, I know, William, you're going to want to talk about this one, I am sure.
I really like this. I think one of the things, like, while I liked all the horror comedies and the kind of more esoteric stuff, I think that this is the sort of film that I'm really enjoying at the moment. It felt very frightening because it's believable, and basically it's about a guy who's a serial killer, and we're sort of seeing what the kind of point of view is on this guy from little disparate parts of his life. But the film's very expressionistic. There's lots of text, lots of different kinds of film formats. So like camcorder, CCTV, some lovely high def stuff. And the performance from the lead actor, Aaron Perillo, he was, is that right? Yeah, he was great. And it just had a really sort of nasty edge to it, which is sometimes what you want if you watch a horror film.
Yeah, it kind of had that sort of true crime docudrama feel to it, didn't it, this one?
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Natasha?
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it, and I think for something that is so experimental to remain interesting for that length of time for a full feature, it was really well constructed with all the text and the voiceover and all of the elements to it. I think it was really well done, really excellent piece.
Yeah. I feel it. I kind of got the impression from people I spoke to, like you said, Natasha, there's a big social aspect to Frightfest, which is lovely, and it divided people a little bit because I found people either really liked it, like you guys did, and I thought it was very good as well, or that it didn't really land for them, and I think it was just because it was trying something quite different, wasn't it, with its narrative? But yeah.
Very divisive, this one. I think you're either into this kind of thing or really not at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it had that kind of one of the things that like I primarily for my social media I'm posting on Reddit and reading Reddit stuff, and I think it's really interesting seeing what people think about various horror films there, and there seems to be a kind of view to a certain extent of highbrow horror, so things like Hereditary and Midsummer and stuff being somehow kind of not any more legitimate than anything else. And I would agree with that. Like, I think horror films are a wide kind of like genre. And this definitely struck me as being kind of highbrow horror. So maybe that turned people off a little bit. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is this is the only film that didn't get a round of applause at the end of it. And the ending was really bleak, and I think almost no score over the credits and stuff. And people, and I think maybe even had like 10 seconds of just black screen, and people just sat there. And I thought, wow, that's great. It's a good atmosphere at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? It's kind of, you know, you can there's two extremes. You can either be left with a round of applause and everyone cheering, or stunned silence. It's kind of the middle ground that's usually the not so great part. So yeah, this one was interesting, and I think this is the thing with horror anyway. Is I've always thought, I've probably said this before, but I always think of horror as like a cross genre, if you like, because there's so many different types of horror film you can have, whether it's something serious like a horror thriller, or a comedy like the previous film that we just said, or something a bit more experimental like this one. So yeah, good stuff. Well, that was directed by Christopher Lee Parson. It had in the cast John Savage, and as you've already mentioned, Aaron Prilio, so and Jessica Lundy. So yeah, check it out. Okay. All right, next up, this was one of the ones that was so new that it didn't actually have a poster. So I've just got a still from the film here. This was the film Homebound. Any initial thoughts from you guys?
I'm struggling to even remember what this one was.
Oh,
Keith,
okay.
was this one?
This was the one. This was the one about the guy. I think the actor's Tom Goodman Hill. I remember he was in the series Humans, and he takes his new fiance to meet his children, and his ex-wife isn't there, and they go to this kind of country manor, which is a little bit creepy. and creepy things ensue. Yeah, do you remember this one, Natasha?
Yeah, I remember this one.
Did it resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I just from the beginning, you're sitting there thinking, I wouldn't go in there. Yeah, it's one of those. It's very tense as well. You're waiting for the next thing to happen. And yeah, straight away something is off about everyone. And
yes.
Yeah.
It was almost like an advert for bad parenting right at the beginning, wasn't it? When he's got his kids, which are sort of I think the oldest one they said was 14 and the youngest was about 9 or something, and he's given them shots of alcohol and stuff like that right from the get-go.
Yeah, for me, this film had like an amazing opening. I really liked what it was setting up, and it was disturbing because it was presenting things that the characters in the film seemed to be like normal with and comfortable with, and really like for most sort of grounded, down to earth people, like giving your children copious quantities of alcohol was not something that most people would do. So things like that were really disturbing, but presented as being totally normal. So I like the performances and I like the beginning, but I don't feel like for me this resonated and sort of developed in a way that I was happy with. I wanted it to become more abstract and absurd, and it did start quantifying things a bit more, which I felt for me it lost a bit of the steam.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I actually did enjoy this one. I had fun with it. It made me uncomfortable, which I always like it when horror does that. Yeah, directed by Sebastian Godwin and Ailing Loftus, Thomas Goodman Hill, and Rafaela Chapman as the main cast there. But yeah, if you want a bit of a creepy children, haunted house kind of vibe, this might be the one for you. Okay, and then next up was You Are Not My Mother, which was directed by Katie Dolan. Yeah, thoughts on this one?
I really love this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think this is great. Really strong performances in this, and totally like a horrible sort of feel to it. I think that was maybe the pace as well. It just seemed to be kind of slowly getting worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. The characters throughout the film.
Yeah. I have to admit, the young actress that was in this, I'm not sure how old she was, but an absolute fantastic performance. I thought that was one of the strongest. We had a lot of films in this year's festival with child actors. There was quite a few, but I'd say if we had to give the award to the best child actor performance, it would be the young lady in this one. She was very good, I thought. So. Anything in particular, Natasha, that you want to say about it? I know you said you love this one.
I think for me it was the combination of all the elements. So it was linked to a kind of a folk tale legend in Ireland. So you had a really interesting kind of backstory, and then I think the pace and the VFX and the acting, the performances was amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think Kate Dolan did a superb job with the direction on this. I thought I can't remember all the interviews now. I can't remember whether this was Kate's first feature or not.
So.
Yeah. But I think there was some inspired choices that she made in this, and it really worked, and it just felt very contained, and yes, as I said, some great performances. It's all right, I keep censoring myself here from giving away spoilers because I don't want to do that, but it's I thought it was masterfully put together. So it was definitely one of the strongest ones of the first day for me. Yeah. And then our closing film for the first day was Wormwood Apocalypse, which is actually a sequel to a previous film that Frightfest had shown, a zombie apocalypse film. This is an Australian production. And directed by Keir Roach Turner, with starring Jay Gallagher, Bianca Brady, and Luke Mackenzie. But yeah, well, did you guys? I know you stuck around for it, William. Were you there for this one, Natasha?
I was there for some of it, but it was really late, this one, so I didn't see
it. Was. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I really enjoyed the premise and the performances.
Yeah, no, they did some good world building on this one, I felt, because they were kind of using the zombies as an energy source as well, which I thought was quite an interesting concept. Whilst trying to obviously find cures and ways to control it, but you had this kind of dystopian, almost sort of Mad Max-esque world set up, and it felt much bigger than I'm sure its budget was, if that makes sense. Do you think that's fair to say, William?
Yeah, I think the production value is excellent. This film, to describe it to anybody that's not seen it and not seen the trailer, it's a bit like sort of 1980s, 1990s action figure packaging. If it was actually a film rather than just marketing, like, it looked absolutely incredible, and it was drawing on a lot of stuff like computer game kind of aesthetics and maybe more sort of RPG kind of text based games and stuff. I have to admit, I didn't really understand what was going on for the initial part in the film. I think it is taken off where the first film ends, but it made me want to watch the first film, which I think is what a sequel should do if you haven't seen the precursor. I really liked this, especially when I went away and thought about it. There was loads to enjoy in it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a good fun, and I felt this one got the balance quite well of not taking itself too seriously, but at the same time not being absurd with the premise, if that makes sense. I thought it kind of, because that can be a tricky balance to find sometimes, and I do feel that this one landed with me, whereas often films of this type don't necessarily. So yeah, cool. All right, well, that rounded out day one. So then we got into Saturday, and the kickoff film for Saturday, again, so new that there wasn't a poster for it, was Mandrake, which was directed by Lynn Davison. Any initial thoughts and comments on this one?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard that people really liked it.
Yes.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Like the previous serial killer one, this had a really nice kind of like down to earth sort of reality about it. Even though it had fantastical elements, they didn't really supersede the kind of human horror and the sort of nastiness that the people were perpetrating. I thought it was well done and quite understated, which I think is always good if you can pull that off.
Yeah. No, I thought it was very good. Apparently, this was mentored through Women in Film and TV UK initiatives. According to the Frightfest write-up on it. But I thought performances in this were very very strong again. I really kind of bought into the main character in this one, and it's a typical one to talk about without giving away spoilers, if you like, through the actual premise of it. But it's this one is dark and gritty for sure, and it does go to some pretty disturbing places. But I thought it was good. Another UK film, good to see supported there. You need to check it out, Natasha.
Yeah, this is absolutely worth seeing. This, as I just thought it was in the sort of tradition of kind of contemporary cinema sort of focused horror, rather than just being indie film. They were obviously going for a commercial kind of vibe, but I don't think they compromised any of the things that are unique about sort of domestic filmmaking. So things like the performances were very down to earth and sort of realistic, which I really liked. It totally sold all the more fantastical stuff in it.
Absolutely. Right. Well, okay. So from down to earth and realistic to up on a ledge, in a what I thought was going to be more of a survival thriller than it actually was. But yeah, The Ledge, directed by Howard J. Ford, who's a Frightfest regular, and yeah, this one, I don't. If I'm honest, I don't think this quite lived up to its premise, and that's not to say. You know, as a filmmaker myself, my hat is off to anyone who gets anything made and shown. And, you know, I would love to have a film being shown at Fright Fest. So winner there straight away, in case it comes across like I'm being negative. I just want to start by saying that. But what I was just hoping from the premise of this, I was thinking somebody pursued it's a mountain in the Dolomites, you know, without climbing gear and survival gear, sort of stuck on a ledge. I think what a great premise, but I don't really think they sort of carried that through. I'll go into more specifics, but what did you guys think of this one?
Yeah, I agree. I think it could have pushed it a little bit further, but generally, I like this kind of chase thriller film. So I enjoyed it in that sense.
Yeah.
And I love Howard and his stuff, Howard J. Ford. So
yeah,
I think
thing. Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
I think if you're into this kind of thing, it's interesting to check it out. But I do think it could have gone a bit more. It could have pushed it a bit further, I think.
Yeah, I think that's how I would piggyback on what Natasha's saying there. I really enjoyed this. I was very entertained. The sort of stuff I was enjoying about it was the kind of stuff that I wanted to see more of, which was the kind of the sort of action element of the pursuit. I think maybe it could have been a little more down to earth, and that might have had, if it had, I don't know, more of a character focus rather than being, I think it was trying to be a very commercial film, and I don't know if that sort of hampered the kind of tone of it, because really it could have been quite frightening, and I feel like it was more sort of, I don't know, entertaining and exciting rather than being scary at any point. But yeah, there was lots of stuff that I really liked in it. Some of the shots of the actual mountain ranges themselves were absolutely breathtaking, really nice, and I'd love to have seen a bit more of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed this. It was good fun. I wouldn't have felt unhappy about seeing this completely blind, which is more or less what I did, apart from you bigging it up so much, Keith.
Yeah. I mean, you know, normally most Fright Fest films I go into completely blind, and that's part of the fun of it. I think the problem with this one is I'd actually, I hadn't seen the trailer, but I had read about it prior to going. And I think in my mind, I'd bigged it up a little bit more. So I did feel a little bit let down by it. But as I said, I just think it could have maybe done with a bit more budget, and the script, I just felt that they made the characters, you know, the characters that you're not supposed to like. There was no problem with that, because they made them completely unlikable right from the get-go. And yeah, I thought if they could have had to be made to work together to survive the elements, it would have been a different movie. But I thought that would have been maybe a bit more compelling. But yeah, that's not to say it wasn't enjoyable. And you know, Howard was there to talk about it and do a Q&A, and you know, I've loved some of his other films. So this is the thing. I think I was maybe went in expecting a little bit too much, but anyway, this stars Brittany Ashworth, Ben Lamb, and Nathan Welsh. So, and I'm sure I think this one has actually got a proper release coming up, hasn't it? So again, good on them for that. So that is The Ledge. Okay. Without giving too much away, for me, I have to say this is kind of the highlight of the festival. So we went from that to Some Like It Rare. Anybody?
I love this one as well. It's brilliant, this film.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd say 10 out of 10. This is my favourite film of the festival, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've already blown my last question to you guys, which was going to be to pick your favorite film at the festival, and I think we've all done it. But yeah, French movie, wonderful balance, I think, of everything in this one. You've got a premise that really works. Even though we're reading subtitles, all of the dialogue, landed perfectly through fabulous performances. And yeah, I just thought this was so fun. So I'm just trying to think how to sort of frame it without giving away too much. Essentially, it's about a married couple that run a delicatessen business. I think they're on the brink of bankruptcy with their company, and inadvertently they end up getting into a situation where they sell the meat of vegans and sort of make that their business.
I thought tonally this film was absolutely amazing. It felt to me like it made Black Mirror seem old hat. All the horror aspect is totally sidelined for the dynamic between the two main characters, who are a married couple whose relationship's on the sort of like rocks a bit. And it was pretty horrifying. There was horrible kind of like horror elements to it. But they are not really part of the story. They're just a byproduct of it. And the tone of the film was superb. It was really, really funny. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I thought the performances were excellent as well.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Unbelievable and just excellently done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, Natasha, I don't mean to keep talking over you. I think we've got a slight delay in our connections here, so sorry about that.
Technical problems.
Tech problems when you're live. What can we say? Yes. Have you got anything else you want to add about that? Sorry.
No, nothing to add. Just, yeah, everyone should check this out.
Yeah. I think it does what horror can sometimes do very well as well, is it's got that, it's got a bit of a social commentary to it as well about, the meat industry and veganism and things of that nature. And, but it all works entirely to the plot and the humor of this, doesn't it? So, yeah. Yeah. Fabulous. Some like it rare. We certainly did. Okay, next up we had Monstrous. Anybody want to start off with this one?
Yeah, I thought this one was brilliant as well. Very well done with the twist at the end, and then the almost a double twist. I don't want to say too much, and I think it's very relatable, and it's very, you kind of understand it throughout as well. Yeah, I thought it was really well done.
Yes, I thought this was a fabulous looking. Sorry.
Yeah, fantastic costumes.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say the production design on this, essentially set in the 50s America, the white picket fences and all of that kind of stuff. And Christina Ricci, which is great to see her. She's obviously been acting her whole life, but great to see her in this. And like you said, some fantastic costumes of that era. The 1950s. They really lent into the color palette as well on this one, because obviously what we know of a lot of that time is what we saw through the media, which a lot of that was obviously in black and white. Yeah, so I think it was quite nice that they brought this kind of palette to this and made it quite vivid. The thing, I really enjoyed this. The only thing that bothered me through the entire film is, unfortunately, and I hate this when this happens, I missed the very beginning of this film, because where we went to eat, they'd kept us waiting a little bit longer than we expected. So I missed the beginning. And as many of my ex-girlfriends will attest to, I've got in many an argument about missing the beginning of films before. So I felt like I was trying to play catch up at the beginning, but because I think I missed maybe 5 or 10 minutes of it, which is a bit disappointing. But what I saw, I loved, and I thought this was really strong. What about you, William?
That's just an excuse for you to watch it a second time, Keith. You can now go back and see it again. I really liked the production design. I thought Christina Ricci was great. In particular, her wardrobe and the way that she was dressed was amazing. That really sold the period for me. I feel like, again, this wasn't my favourite. It had quite a strong opening, and then it didn't really deliver the sort of stuff that I was looking for taste-wise. But it's a good film. It was probably the most polished in terms of production value, and I think maybe one of the two most commercial films that were screened. So yeah, I think if you're a horror film fan, go for it.
Yeah, directed by Chris Severston, and as well as Christina Ricci, there's Colleen Camp appears in this film as well. So, and with some interesting creatures as well in that. So, monstrous. Okay, that brought us then to Freaks Out, which I thought was fabulous. But I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, I thought it was fabulous as well. I would put this up there with Some Like It Rare as my two favourites from the festival. Yeah. I thought just everything about this film, the production design, because it was period and circus in the Second World War times. It kind of had everything, and then the performances of everyone, the freaks and all the Nazis as well, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. This was an Italian film, and yeah, it's got a sort of mixture of. It's got a little bit of a feeling of Del Toro about it, with the the sort of carnival folks and whatever, like he's done recently. But also you've kind of got a bit of an X-Men First Class vibe with this, these super powered individuals that are considered freaks and don't fit into society with their gifts or their powers, and then you've got like the kind of whole almost like a sort of Captain America vibe as well, with the Second World War backdrop, etc. In fact, I told my friends at the Comic Crush that look at films based around comic book movies and superhero movies, which is obviously massive at the moment, and has been for the past decade or so. I said to them that they should really look at this one as well, because it very much falls into that genre, I think. What did you think, William?
Yeah, I would agree with what you both thought. I thought it was really exciting, very funny. It was amazingly charming, this film as well. It had, I don't know, it's one of these films where you see it and just it's a bit jaw-dropping, especially from a filmmaker I hadn't heard of before. So yeah, I'd really like it. I'd recommend it to people. It was punching way above its weight, I thought, in terms of like my expectation, and even just from the opening scene, the story was kind of like off at a massive pace. I think the tone and the kind of style of it were very idiosyncratic and unique, but also at the same time really engaging. I think this is, like you said, Natasha, I'd say this was as good as Some Like It Rare.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny how we haven't really disagreed on much. We're all in agreement here. I mean, production values on this were superb. Like you said, it was punching way above its actual budget, I'm sure. And it actually ran for 141 minutes, which was a lot longer than any of the other films, but did not seem that way, just because it was so entertaining, and it did get, again, that balance right between comedy and spectacle and just great storytelling, really. So I think we're all on.
I was just going to add, I think it's just a really positive message about people who are different as well within society. I think it's really well done, and it has a real, yeah, like you said, a real charm about that as well.
Yeah, no, agreed. So last up for this this Fright Fest was The Cellar, which I believe was another Irish Film Fund film, I believe. Have I got that correct? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think this was the other Irish one, yeah.
Yeah, directed by Brendan Moldowy, and this starred, which was, oh my God, you talk about things that make you feel old, right? So this starred Elisha Cuthbert, who was the Jack Bauer's teenage daughter in 24, the TV series, right? But in this one, she's playing the mother of a teenage daughter, and you just think, wow, where did those years go? You know what I mean? But it was good to see her back on screen, because it had been a while. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have a poster for this one either. So this isn't Elisha Cuthbert, by the way. This is the daughter who, forgive me, I don't know what the name of the actress playing the daughter was. My bad. But yeah.
I haven't seen this one.
Oh, you didn't see it? Okay, fair enough.
So this is kind of like, this was one of the films that I found really interesting. This is the sort of horror film that I've been watching quite a lot of at the moment. I felt it was very commercially orientated. The production value was excellent. Cinematography was really strong. And the premise, I really like the premise, which is about this family turn up at this house that they've bought. I think having moved from America, that was probably the only thing that I found confusing, was because of the Elijah Cuthbertson character. It was like, are they all Irish? Is she an American mum married into an Irish family? I wasn't sure about that, but they basically go to this house and sort of finding out strange things are happening. They research the history of it, and there's all sorts of weird symbols all over the doors and sort of secret passages and stuff. And it ended up being a much more substantial film than I was expecting, especially with the way it looked. I was kind of like, is this going to be a film that looks great and doesn't have much substance? But I was delighted that wasn't the case, and it was actually quite a sort of thought-provoking and disturbing film. So yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, no, I did too. I thought it was a strong one to end on. I mean, a lot of people didn't stick around for it. I get it. You know, it's a long day, Fright Fest, and you know, when this one starts at like, you know, 11:30 p.m. and you know you're going to be there till 1 o'clock or whatever. I get it, but I was really glad I stuck around for it, because I really like the style of this one again. It felt very grounded and very contained. And the creepy aspects, the scare aspects worked. So it delivered, but it was a serious one to end on, which is unusual, because I know Fright Fest usually try and program something on the sort of more horror comedy end of the spectrum to end the festival on. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed this. So another one to check out. Again, hard to say any more without going into spoilers. So, yeah, hopefully that's going to get a release somewhere soon, which is fantastic. So, okay, so we've all blown the question I was going to save to the end, which was, what was your favourite film at the festival? But I think we are actually all in agreement that it was Some Like It Rare, right? With maybe Freaks Out as a close second.
Yeah,
cool,
totally.
All right, cool. Well, we managed to get through that in a reasonable amount of time. I wasn't sure you know how long that would go, but before we go, I do want us to, you know, to discuss, like we said, some of the other bits and pieces, and give you a chance to promote any work, etc. that you're on. So, Natasha, I know you started to tell us a little bit about this at the beginning. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the festival and where people can get in touch?
Yeah, so the London Independent Film Festival, it runs 1st to the 10th of April this year, and we are back physical at Genesis Cinema. So tickets will be they're on sale on the Genesis website at the moment, and it's a mix of shorts, features, and industry events. So people should check that out and come along. There's a whole mix of different genres in there as well. So there's something for everyone. And also what might be of interest to people watching this is I'm also part of Cine Excess, which is a cult cinema festival. So there's lots of horror in there. And we have Distinctive Visions event coming up on the 25th, 26th, and 27th of March. And tickets are available for that. And yeah, it's a mix of new distinctive voices in cinema and also some cult classics in there as well. So you should definitely check that out. And it's about £6 for the whole weekend to watch everything. So definitely check.
When is this? I'm quite interested in this myself. When is this?
25th, 26th, and 27th of March. So next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right. And the links that you gave me that I've put in does it include information on that as well?
No, because I'm not, I didn't send enough links. I'm doing too many things, Keith.
That's all right. No worries. We can, I mean, you've told people about it, but I can add, if after this you send me a link, I'll add that to the show notes as well, so that people can
cine-access.co.uk.
Okay. All right. I'll get that added for sure. Okay. And they can find you obviously on Facebook and Instagram and on your website, natashamarberger.com, right?
Yeah, that's
brilliant.
Find me and connect with me and all the things that there's so many. I'm involved in so many things. So
you are.
Yeah, so I can share links and information and stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now that's great. Excellent work, Natasha. And it's nice to have somebody who's equally passionate about films and filmmaking and all of that sort of thing come and join us. So thank you for that. William, do you want to tell people about where they can find more of your work? Again, I've put links to stuff in the notes down below, but do you want to talk a little bit about that? By the way, that picture is bang up to date, William, because that was literally taken this weekend.
I'm sad you've cropped yourself out. It'd have been nice to have us both in that photo. First of all, Natasha, it's awesome to hear that there's film festivals coming back again. Frightfest was so good, and all the COVID stuff was completely compliant. It felt very safe. So I'm sad that I can't come to see the stuff that you're doing next, I don't think, because of the dates, but hopefully at some point in the future, maybe in August, I can come to Frightfest down in London. That would be cool. In terms of my own stuff that I'm working on, the most exciting thing relevant to this, Let's See What's Out There live stream, is that I'm working as a storyboard artist on Bueno Productions' film The Tunnel, which is written by my friend Vivian Reid. I'm really excited about that. I don't know what I can say and what I can't say, other than that I'm storyboarding it and we're starting that initially just now. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also doing some horror comics. So I've got a sequel to Hell in Stalingrad with my collaborator Russell McEwen coming out, I hope, in the next year, which is going to be called Hell Alamein. Script for that's being written just now. I've got a short, which is going to be in Matt Hardy's Kickstarter in April for Sickness and Sorrow, which is about sort of a secret society of serial killers. And I've also got a 20-page comic coming out in a publication by Clan Comics, who are by my friends Vancita and Sarah Allen, and they're a publisher from Dundee. So I've got tons of horror stuff going on, and I'm posting a lot of my artwork on Reddit. You can see me under u/WASM, where I'm at the moment posting lots of Saw portraits from the Saw franchise. So yeah, I'm up to that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, those Saw, you showed me some of those Saw pictures, and as a fan of the Saw franchise myself, I was quite impressed by all that. So they can find this WASM, is that right? WASM.
Yeah, just if you type that in with my name, it should come up with my website and stuff like that. It should be easy to search.
Fair enough. Okay. And obviously, if you're here watching this, you already know about Home Media Minefield. So, follow us on social media as well at Home Media Minefield or at LSWOT cast, as in Let's See What's Out There, which is the name of the podcast that goes out. If you want to see any of my actual creative work, I have another YouTube channel called British Isles. That's EYLES, as in my last name. And if you're into horror, I've got a little anthology of short films called The Urban Chiller Tales. Comes to about 35 minutes in total, I think. But there's like half a dozen short films there that were, written, produced and directed by me on no budget. So be kind, but any feedback, welcome. I am also in the process of working on a feature at the moment called Car Cam with my good friend Mike Tack. Mike has been a little ill lately, so we wish him a speedy recovery. And if you're here, just some stuff that's been on the channel. I've tried to pick out stuff that's more relevant to horror fans here. We cover all sorts of movies and TV stuff because I love all of it. But we've had a couple of streams looking at the Scream and the Halloween franchise. I had Movie Timelines and Turtle Canyon Films join me as guests to discuss those. Also, I do cover physical media, 4K UHD, Blu-ray, DVD, that sort of thing. And I've got reviews out there currently for Halloween Kills on 4K. And there's also an unboxing. So this is sort of a cross section of everything we do of the Second Sight film release of Censor, the 2-disc edition of the film by Prano Bailey Bond. So please, check that stuff out as well if you're looking for more content. But that really just leaves me to thank my two guests. Thank you so much for joining me. It was lovely to see you at Frightfest. It is a great community for bringing people and film fans and filmmakers together. And thanks for coming back on this to give your opinions and, as I said, not spoil the films and, not be unkind about any of the films as well. I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. And no
Thanks
worries.
for having us.
You're welcome anytime. And as I said, if you're here, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff. But in the meantime, we'll see you at the next Home Media Minefield. Bye for now.